Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going over the grayscale trusts and also a little bit of job data as well as earnings. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so I have not gotten around yet to the new grayscale trusts. I'm not really too concerned about it. I mean, we do have time. A lot of pretty much almost all of these grayscale trusts that are new are altcoin related. So they're not specifically related to Bitcoin. As you guys know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then altcoins usually pop off. So we have quite a bit of time for these new trusts to be able to take a look at. I will also say that if I'm going to cover the rest of these newer trusts with you guys, I'm not going to have as much time to spend on each one that we've already done so far. So I may just kind of have to fly through them each video. Which means they may not necessarily get the attention and detail that you may otherwise want on these trusts. All right, so with that being said, let's first get into the data here. So the data that we had today was, let's scroll back here to the time that the data was actually released. So we have the initial jobless claims. I basically did say that I thought that this was going to come out relatively flat. Or even lower than expectations, and it actually appears that that's what happened, as you guys can see here. So I don't really care about the 4-week average. I only care about the actual initial jobless claims. So you guys can see the forecast here, and then the expectation was lower than expected. Look, the battle in the markets and the mentality of the markets when it comes to the Fed is either, oh well, if the labor market remains strong, then inflation might resurge on one side. And then on the other side, they're like, well, if the job market weakens, then inflation might die, but then unemployment will go up and then we're going to have a recession. So, I mean, guys, it's kind of a double standard when it comes to markets. I mean, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, there's a bunch of bears out there in the markets that are just thoroughly convinced that it's not possible to have both, that you can only have one or the other, and one or the other is going to be the dooms case scenario. Guys, I'm pretty confident that both can happen simultaneously. There have been soft landings in the past. Okay, it is possible. And in my opinion, it's also likely to happen this time around. Again, I have not seen any concrete, convincing evidence for the last 2.5 years, essentially, that any such thing is going to occur. So anything other than the soft landing, I mean. But, that's kind of the nature of the markets now, unfortunately. It's just, I don't want to say it's kind of a joke, but it almost kind of is. I mean, they're real concerns. Understandably, they are real concerns. It's just, I think the markets are kind of jumping the gun here, and they are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill where a mountain doesn't actually exist, if you know what I'm saying. They're trying to paint a picture of something that's not actually real here. So the other thing I want to go over here is the retail sales. So retail sales here, the one that I think is really important here is going to be the month over month, year over year. So the year over year did come in a little bit lower than expectations, so that's not great. But again, you guys got to keep something in mind. I mean, the Fed funds rate, the effect of it is a lagging indicator. Okay, the rest of these are going to lag behind the Fed funds rate because again, it's kind of a trailing. It's basically what I said. It's a lagging indicator. It's not a leading indicator. It's a lagging indicator. So as the Fed cuts rates, the Fed's now cutting rates at, probably sooner rather than later. I would think that these numbers are going to ideally start going back up. And the other thing you also got to remember about these numbers too, these lower numbers here for October, September, August, these are looking backwards. In time, usually somewhere between June to August is not really a very busy time frame for a lot of companies. Most companies usually ramp up their sales and get the peak of their sales, for the most case, right around Q4 to Q1. There are reasons for that, okay? Because you have the holidays, and then you have January, which is like, what is the term? So you got the New Year's, right? And people got their New Year's resolutions. You have people going out there for vacation, stuff like that. So kind of that 6-month window between roughly about October to March is peak sales for most companies. Plus, you also have the September timeframe where people, summer's over and parents are usually sending their kids back to school, that kind of thing. In terms of the summertime, there is some profitability there for companies, but that's more so for companies that are trying to sell like food and cold beverages to people because it's hot out. Like traveling agencies, stuff like that. So, but the vast majority of the bulk of the sales usually comes somewhere between Q4 to Q1. So, pretty much what I'm saying here is I do actually expect that the retail sales will probably stay flat. Maybe for next well, no, actually I think next month is going to be probably an increase, and then we'll probably see increases and or flat going into the end of Q1 of next year, and then maybe in Q2 it starts to slowly pull back a little bit. That would be completely normal. I would not be surprised by that. So in terms of month over month, you can see that did go up. So kind of a mixed reading here for the markets. Markets didn't really like it too much. They kind of dumped just a little bit. But considering how much green we've had lately, one small red day or a couple small red days, not really that big of a deal if you ask me. Okay, so the other thing I want to take a look at real quick, and I'm not going to look at all the big earnings, but we'll take a look at the big two here, is the Taiwanese semiconductor. Okay, so these are the major two for today that happen. So TSM, you can see they beat on both earnings. Again, this gives us kind of an indication of what to expect for AI and the tech companies and the chip companies. So this going forward, I say, is a pretty bullish leading indicator for Q4. And then the other one here is Netflix. This kind of gives us a hint as to the Mag 7. Netflix is generally speaking considered to be kind of the lowest of the Mag 7. It's not that it's any less than, it's not really a tech company. I mean, it's a movie streaming company, but obviously it's a huge company, right? So we have beats on both earnings. You're not going to see the actual price action here on TradingView. So what I would do instead is I would go over to Robinhood or whatever your platform is, and I take a look at this and say, okay, I'm not seeing it here, so let me go somewhere else and take a look. So you can see in the after hours, Netflix just absolutely killed it. It's up 5%. Okay, so down 2%, up 5%, total return 3%. So it looks good, right? Mag 7 should be fine. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the trust now. So I got to switch over here to the weekly. There we go. Okay, so you can see we're about to get the golden cross on the MACD. The histogram is getting very, very close to the break-even level. I want to show you actually what that would look like when it does actually get there. This is popping up on Bitcoin. As you can see, it's almost green right now. And also NVIDIA. Same thing with NVIDIA, okay? So yeah, basically what I'm saying is, I'm pretty much in short, what I'm trying to say here is I expect LTCN or anything that's about to have the golden cross on the MACD to start pushing to the upside. Okay, so LTCN, mostly flat. You can see most of these are flat. Had a few green ones, so PhilG, G-Link, Mana. All right, so LTCN, same thing as I said before, buy zone anywhere between 12 to roughly about 15. You got that 25 to 27, and then that 54 up there at the swing high. So in terms of profit targets here, 131 to 365% move. BCHG, slight pullback here in price, but again, we are getting the curling up, the kind of triple golden crosses going on here. Triple bullish convergence is what I'm trying to say. So we're back below the EMAs, but again, just because the price closes below the EMAs does not mean it's going to sell off. There is no guarantee that if that happens, that's actually going to lead to a sell-off. As you can see, it happened right here, and then we're going to pop back above. I can even go back in history here and take a look at different times that this happened. So you can see this one actually did get rejected back here, came back down, tried to pop above, got rejected again, finally popped above the EMAs here, then came back down to the EMAs. So you can see it can be very sketchy at times. Just because even if the candle closes below does not mean that it's not going to immediately explode to the upside the following week. Okay, so the inverse head and shoulders pattern target is going to be right around that 970 like I showed you guys before. So if you're looking for a pullback, maybe anywhere between 530 to 640, I would say is a good area. 640 is kind of that white line. So 1015 to 1250 going to be that resistance. You got $18 to about, let's say about $20, and then 24 as potential targets. BCHG is It has an all-time high of 60. So 112, 241%, and 307%. Okay, so HZEN, this thing is still kind of sitting on support. Maybe an inverse head and shoulders here is being created. That's always possible. If it looks more clear in the coming weeks that that's the case, then I'll give you guys a target for that. But as of right now, 340 to 420 is going to be the current support. So $7 to $8, and then above that you have 1130 to kind of about 1220. 10.5 is the local swing highs here, so 131% and then 196% respectively. And again, the target for the falling wedge is going to be the top of the wedge. ETCG. So support as of right now is 760. I'd say anywhere between 760 to about $10 good buy zone. 13 to 16, and then you have 1750 to 20 as potential profit targets. And again, these are just short-term profit targets. If you're looking to hodl and you want to wait for like a 10, 20, 30x or even a 5x or something like that, then we have separate videos that we do that are called something along the lines of max profit target Fibonacci retracement levels for the Grayscale Trust. And we'll go over what those are probably tomorrow afternoon, I think is what we're going to do. So 107% and 163% respectively ETH. Okay, so nice little double tap here. Preferably that would be a double bottom and then it goes up. But then again, as you guys know, Bitcoin has to top out first, so we might actually just chop sideways instead. So support here, 1840 to 20, or 1840's support, so 2330 to 2840 resistance. Cup and handles roughly about 4760, so almost 57 to 160% move. You can see your big cup and handle there. I have gone over the previous video that we did. We showed you guys the same cup and handle pattern on Bitcoin and gold. So in my opinion, it's not necessarily a time-related pattern. It just more so matters if it actually plays out or not. So GBAT, nice little pump here. It is going higher. Support still currently is going to be roughly about 440 to 530. You could say it's even as high as $8 because usually when the price breaks out into a new bull trend above the EMAs, it tends to continue popping off of the EMAs for quite some time. So resistance here is 770 to $10. All-time high at 32. So measured move here from a pullback to support 112% to 595%. Again, whether we get the pullback or not, that remains to be seen. So fill G, file G, whatever you want to call it. Support 36 to 42, 45, somewhere in there. And then the all-time high up here at 400. So maybe roughly about a 10x just to get to the all-time highs. It could be more than that if it goes even higher. 845% move. GLIV still sitting on support. So $12 to roughly about $14.90. And each one of these charts we're looking at, you guys can see the MACD histogram is getting smaller and smaller and smaller in terms of bullish or bearishness. That means the bear momentum is weakening and bull strength is going to come about here soon. So the all-time high here up at $80. Measured move roughly about 460%. G-Link. Oh, nice big fat green candle. That's always nice to see. Once again, same thing on the MACD. So support here 40 to about 46. Resistance 46 or 64 to about 85, and then we have the all-time high at 220. Okay, so if you manage to pick it up at that support zone, it'd be roughly about 96% and 416% respectively. GSOL still going sideways, not really surprised. 300 to 350 as support, and then the all-time high at 580. I do think GSOL is going to go way past 580, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. So 93% move here. GXLM. So support levels here, roughly about 1480, 20, and then 24. So anywhere between 1480 to 24, in my opinion, is a good buy because it has been kind of chopping in that area for weeks. So 52 to 58 is going to be about that resistance, and then 70 swing high. Roughly about a 300% move and 360% move. Mana. All right, so support as of right now is still sitting about 10.5 bucks. Again, you guys can see what it looks like on the MACD when the histogram slowly, and again, this takes months sometimes to play out, slowly starts to push to green. You can see that little green bar right there, right? See that little green bar? Yep, that's usually the week that these things start moving up. Usually when we get the golden cross. When the golden cross plays out, it doesn't always play out, like it doesn't always just go straight up. Sometimes it's a fake out, but most of the time I would say it's probably not a fake out. Like you can see here, it looked like we were going to get a death cross, but then we didn't, and we just went higher. So do keep that in mind. Okay, so support 1015, 1680, and then all the way up to 20 is going to be that resistance. And then the all-time high is at 70. Mana is one of those ones which is gaming and metaverse related. I think this thing could just do stupid, absolutely stupid gains. Okay, so 80%, 527% respectively. Last but not least, Zcash, still chopping sideways. So kind of my buy area on this would be about 325 to $6. And then resistance is 790 to about 970, and then you have 10 and a quarter up there at the highs. Or that's not actually the all-time high, but that is the swing high as of right now. The all-time high, I believe, is at $30, so 203% and 230% respectively. Let's just make sure I'm right about this. Okay, my bad. It's at $40, so you get roughly about a 9 to a 10x from the current price. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.